Welcome back everyone to game number 2 between VG.P and HGT. The B team, or the academy team for VG Gaming here, losing out a little bit to Hyperglory team, but let's see what they have in store for us game number 2, because HGT are coming out all guns blazing with their first 2 picks. Switch over to the draft, and there you can see it. Tiny Wisp is the first one too. Let's welcome in Scat, my co-commentator. Now, Tiny Wisp, this is something I love seeing, regardless of who's playing it.
Yeah, but in this game we do happen to have a very good combination playing it as well, so that's gonna be a bonus. I mean, you spoke in the first game about how Pretty Horse Chen really good, and I was saying Kaka, his Wisp. I mean, that is the hero that Kaka plays, and he plays it really well. So I worry for VG Gaming potential. I worry for any team that has to go up against the HGT Wisp Tiny. They've done very well with it recently. In fact, at the start, I was asking you about how they started well and then they started doing worse. Well, part of that was actually at the start they were running Tiny and Wisp in basically every game, and they haven't run it as much since then.
Really?
There was one game against Newbie that they lost against a really strong Timbersaw, even though they had Wisp and Tiny. But other than that, they were mostly winning with this combination, I believe.
Well, let's see how well they do here up against VG.P. Now, it is always one of these combos, regardless of who is actually playing it. Sure, it's going to be Kaka Wisp, and the Tiny is going to be an annoyance once he gets his Aghanims especially. But if you're a team like VG.P, who maybe hasn't had a chance to, work out where people go, what people do, the Tiny Wisp combination, you've seen it in pubs, you've seen it in professional games, but it's not something that you can 100% theorize and just outdraft or outthink. It's more about feeling it. You've got to feel, is he close to Ags? Do we go and stop him farming now? Is the Wisp stacking jungle? There are timings involved, obviously, like there are with any strats and countering any drafts. But you have to address it partially in the draft. You have to address it partially in your laning phase. It's mainly, though, trying to counter out that Wisp, though. He is the main factor there that makes everything so strong. The fact that he gets the bottle, gets runes, keeps Tiny alive in the lane, stacks up jungle for him. He is the conduit that turns Tiny from an okay hero into that absolute beast of a mid-game hero.
And even once Tiny has farm, without the Wisp, he's a lot weaker.
Yeah.
So in those, I mean, it's all about killing the Wisp, and I think that's the main way to deal with Wisp Tiny. The best possible thing you could do is kill the Wisp all game long from the start to the end. Just keep killing him, but that's not always so easy. And Disrupt's another good hero against Wisp Tiny because you can send one of them back and leave the other one isolated. But Silencer kind of gets past that problem, right? HGT Silencer can just protect that Wisp Tiny combination, let them relocate into global silence. That's terrifying. Even Queen of Pain, who beforehand had the opportunity to like blink away seeing a relocate, but if you relocate under a global silence, even a Queen of Pain could die to that gang.
We've seen Sansa picked up against Tiny Wisp, but yeah, picking it up with Tiny Wisp is a pretty good combination. And along
I can even
with,
see
wow.
And the Storm, I can even see those late game, those late game situations where Tiny and Wisp relocate enemy base and backdoor Raxes. Just imagine that with a global silence. Like, what does the other team do?
I don't know. You just pop global, like you relocate, you pop global, Storm Spirit jumps in from, half the map away. Heroes like Venge, Queen of Pain, Disruptor, they're all low HP heroes. They all rely very heavily on their spells for either mobility, team fight, or trying to outmaneuver people. Sure, Global Silence is on a long cooldown, but HGT are going to be the ones that are picking their fights.
Yeah, I feel like while the Global Silence up, HGT are just so much stronger, and maybe that puts pressure on VG Gaming potential to try get advantage early in the game. Take advantage of the fact that Silence has no disables. Wisp is no disables, so you might want to take these early fights and try win them.
Looks like that's the way they're going.
Yeah, Viper's a pickup that fits that playstyle. The Death Poorly strategy. Get the early mech on the Viper, group up, make kills, make objective kills.
Now, how do you want to run this though? Because I'm looking at Tiny Wisp and thinking, okay, could be safe lane, could be mid. Storm Spirit's the same kind of story. Do you put Storm safe with the Silencer then supporting him? Seems like the more logical option. Then Tiny Wisp mid, so they've got the rune control. Their Radiant side, so stacking those camps is pretty easy as well. The medium and large camp just off to the side. So both teams probably looking for an offlaner here. VG.P though, their lineup is a little more open-ended. Vendor Disruptor, the 2 supports, could run dual lanes. Could be an aggro try, defensive try lane. Viper could be a part of that.
I think that VG.P maybe look for that aggressive try because both Tiny Wisp prefers dual lanes and the fact that safe lane Storm is a very weak dual lane.
Mhm.
There's a lot of reason to, so like worst case scenario, you go aggressive tri lane, you're going to be against Wisp, Tiny, and Silencer. That's the very worst thing that could happen, and that's not exactly a terrifying tri lane. It's an alright one, but the high likelihood is we'll see dual lanes, and if it's dual lanes and Storm is in the safe lane with the Silencer, an aggressive dual lane or an aggressive tri lane for VG.P is going to do very well against the Storm Silencer lane.
Also, VG.P have last pick, so they'll know exactly what they're dealing with here from HGT. Whether they need to go for something that goes solo safe lane, perhaps can swap out. Queen of Pain does okay mid against the Tiny Wisp because she can harass down the Wisp and stay out of range of Avalanche Toss. So I don't think they'll want to swap her out for any other hero. They'll be either looking for a safe lane hero or an offlane hero.
I'm liking the feel of maybe a Beastmaster here for HGT. When you have that Tiny Wisp, you like to have an offlaner that can set up the relocates, or also because none of their supports have disable. I think they want a like either a disabler or at least a frontliner as their offlaner, something that can sort of get things started.
Well, there's no clockwork. Tide Hunters out there. We've seen a lot of Magnus with Tiny Wisp, mainly in the Southeast Asian scene, not really so much in China, but Spirit Breaker will be that front liner that you were saying. Charge in there,
Yeah.
give the vision, and really open things up for Storm and Tiny. Oh.
So Lifesteal is a hero that disappeared for a very long time. Very recently, it's been making a comeback in the Chinese scene, and I think is it Vici that's running it the most? I feel like Hal's been playing it.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it's been Hal that's been running it the most, but yeah, it is still a hero that doesn't exist in in Europe or North America, or even Southeast Asia anymore. It's a hero that just never gets picked, never gets banned, is ignored completely. China, they still love the guy.
Well, this is an aggressive lineup, right? Because the Lifestealer Queen of Pain bombs, the Viper with the early mech pushing down towers, and Venge and Disruptor, very good supports for chasing people down. So
Ooh.
that's the play that Vici Gang potential are going to make here, is to try and get an advantage early on.
Yang picks up the Viper, so is he going mid? Then we have Secret off lane Queen of Pain, or is it safe lane Queen of Pain, and then we still look for the aggro tri lane, but with a Lifestealer?
I think that's it, yeah. I think it's the aggro tri lane with the Lifestealer. That would be my bet if I had to put a bet on anything.
We'll see from the rights and pickups. Over on the Radiant, it's a little more, a little more standard. I see off lane Spirit Breaker pretty hard on the support Silencer, going to be supporting ZSMJ on that safe lane Storm Spirit, while Air and Kaka, the duo once again, Wisp and Tiny heading towards mid. But this Viper, I was looking at Queen of Pain and thinking, okay, well, against Tiny Wisp, you're gonna be pretty happy with this. You can try and contest runes against the Wisp. You can harass him down and trade hits quite evenly. Get last hits in there with Scream of Pain. But the Viper, does he do a similar job? You don't have the AoE clear. You can't control equilibrium as you'd like. You can't contest runes. The main thing you're doing, I guess, is harassing Tiny and stopping him getting farm.
Yeah, it's another reason I like the aggressive tri lane, because your supports are nearer to the Viper than if they're at the safe lane. And possibly if they run the aggressive tri lane and make 1 or 2 kills, one of the supports could go camp mid with the Viper. And then Wisp and Tiny lose any advantage they have, because they need to be able to threaten to kill Viper. If Viper is not afraid of dying, he's going to get good farm in that lane. The issue is that he has to be afraid of dying, I believe. And yeah, if he has a support nearby, he's probably not going to be that afraid of dying. The alternative is maybe actually the Queen of Pain goes mid. If he's usually the offlane player and you see the mid lane Wisp Tiny as basically being an offlane.
Yeah. I was a little bit confused there because the Queen of Pain brought up a Null and Tangos and it looked like, straight up solo mid build. And then I saw the Viper running towards mid with, a decent mid build for the Viper. But Secret sells his items up. Both of them have identical item builds, in fact. Secret and Yang.
I have uncompressed updates. I will be right back.
Lovely, lovely lag. So we've got Triple S on the Lifestealer up here. It looks like it might just be safe lane from VG.P. Play it safe with dogfights on the Vengeful Spirit. Aggressive movement, though, into the Radiant Jungle. Going to be spotted out by that Observer Ward. They know exactly where that sentry is being placed. Pinged out already. Once again, though, I don't know who has started doing this over and over again. That was like the most common ward on that magic bush. That was the one that was used time and time again. But then, for the past year? For the past year or so, it just hasn't been used at all. People have been dodging sentries, been trying to find sneaky little spots where they can, not be countered and not worry too much. But if you're throwing a sentry down there and it blocks up both camps initially, and then maybe another round afterwards, force your opponents to buy a sentry just to counter it, it's definitely worth it.
I'm gonna try not to speak while I reconnect in case my mic goes crazy.
Okay, I'll get ready to mute you. It's like a whirlwind or something. Suddenly there's... ZSMJ switching up the lanes here. Storm and Sans heading up top, knowing they're going to be against the safe lane Lifestealer. Yep, it still made the noise.
Even though my mic...
Oh my god. And then your volume goes really high as well. Right, you're fine now? Even though your mic was muted, yes, it still made the noise.
That's super weird. I mean, why is there even an interaction between reconnecting to the game and my microphone?
I don't know. The internet hates you. But yeah, top lane, the aggressive triad is now turned defensive as Pretty Hall gets stunned up and taken out by Triple S. So the intelligent swap there, putting the Storm and Sansa up against the Lifestealer because they know there's going to be the aggro tri lane against Icy. Forcing the rotations back, giving up first blood. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that works out for you because now Storm's in a position where he cannot stay here. He has to move lanes. Oh, toss back. Yang into the creep wave. The right clicks are here. I'm not sure if there's enough damage. The orbs could have come back and hit him, but not in time.
I have reconnected to the game and it looks like... Okay, no, it's fine now. Sorry, I was gonna say it looked like the problem wasn't fixed.
Oh dear.
So I missed the first blood. It's everything else.
No, nothing too interesting. ZSMJ is walking towards bot lane. Icy probably going to charge himself up there just to try and get up to that top lane. Kaka bottling that bounty rune under the nose of James, who has 7 tangos remaining. Courier delivers... Wait, what? That deliver Wraithband? Yeah, it must have been Wraithband to Yang. He started off with a circlet.
Yeah, and he's doing pretty well for himself against this tiny Wisp lane. I suppose Viper, as far as heroes go, is one of the better heroes to handle this lane. And like I said, the threat to him always is going to be, can they kill him? Can they run onto him and use the tinies? Toss Avalanche combo with some Wisps, some Spirits, and setting up the Spirits for the harass here. Don't know if this is a kill attempt.
Icy does charge himself back up towards the top lane. Kaka and Air though in mid. How we looking last hit wise? 8 for 4 on the tiny while Viper is 7 for 5. The Queen of Pain with the initial trial lane she was with leading with 13 for 9 while the Lifestealer is 10 for 3. So it's pretty even across the board. Queen of Pain may be coming out the victor slightly here. The fact that Storm Spirit has had to switch up lanes now the Spirit Breaker stopped up by the Centaur, and this really has put a cog in the works for him. Charging down into the river, gonna cancel that up and head back towards lane.
Yeah, and going back to the Storm Spirit lane, I just can't say this enough. I feel like a safe lane dual lane with Storm Spirit as the core is weaker than basically any opposing dual lane. And yeah, that's why we see Queen of Pain with just significantly more farm here.
Like with a stun or with a couple of stuns, you've got a lot of aggressive potential with Remnant No Overload. But outside of that, you've got nowhere to fall back. You can't turn around fights really. You're so low on HP that once you're gone on, the majority of the time you're dead. Like this here, the glimpse right back, he's dead right now. In fact, he does try and turn things around, proving me wrong with a Remnant. Queen of Pain getting a little bit too deep there.
Yeah, I think that the execution's a little bit off there for VG game potential, getting too excited, and Storm Spirit having a magic stick there is the reason that he can make the kill before he dies. But that's something that the Queen of Pain should check before blinking in. Does he have a magic stick?
Yeah, Queen of Pain could have been safe, right-clicking from a distance. Didn't really need to go that far in, and when there's a Sansa, throwing glaives at you as well, his damage output cannot be underestimated.
I mean, making the kill involved glimpsing him back anyway, so it makes you wonder why the Queen of Pain feels it's necessary to blink in, and if you're gonna glimpse him back anyway.
You just got that burning desire to kill that damn Storm Spirit. ZSMJ, you're a super famous player. Let's kill him. James, he's charged up. ZSMJ takes a Shadow Strike. His Pretty Whore now is caught in the trees. Secret. Okay, he blinks himself away. The charge is still incoming, though. He's going to actually hit through the Queen of Pain and now onto the Disruptor. They'll get a 1-for-1 trade in the end, and it's going to work out for them.
Yeah, so pretty good rotation, I think, for HGT. As it turned out, the Spirit Breaker probably didn't need to be there. With the Wisp TP, it was enough. But he didn't lose a whole lot, and he TP's back up to the top lane now.
Lifestealer and Vengeful Spirit up on this top lane. Triple S farming away like a madman. 30 for 6. The closest is 20 for 10 on the Tiny.
Do you think Lifestealer is a good core against Tiny? Like, is Lifestealer, I guess he's got the built-in BKB, so he can avoid the Craggy. Is that the advantage?
I guess. He doesn't, like, if you can get the rage off, you don't get insta-killed by Avalanche Toss or anything like that. But, well, you know, couple it up with the fact that you can play aggressively and defensively with Infest. You know, jump into a creep or jump into the Queen of Pain. Blink yourself in or out of team fights.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, did they pick the Lifestealer because of the Queen of Pain bombs? Or was part of it that they thought it was an especially good pick against the Tiny Wisp? Because I don't think it is an especially good pick against the Tiny Wisp. That's maybe it is just for the Queen of Pain bomb.
We'll see how it works out. Yeah, it doesn't offer too much pressure onto the oh my god, Spirit Breaker. I wanted to say Night Stalker for some reason. In my head it was just Night Stalker. Night Stalker. No. It's not a Night Stalker. It's a Spirit Breaker up on this top lane. He can't really pressure him out of lane. The amount of armor and HP the Spirit Breaker does have means that right clicks do a fair amount of damage with Open Moon slowing you down, but it comes down to the Wave of Terror and stuns from the Vengeful Spirit. If she can get in there, if she can lock him down, Venge is the one that causes the Spirit Breaker to back up or potentially die.
I mean, Lifestealer is definitely not a good core against Storm Spirits, right? And if we're saying he's not that good against Spirit Break, he's not that good against Tiny Wisp. Like, is his job to hunt down Silencer in this game, or
Yang turns back around to Karkar. They went for the kill onto the Viper, but Air overestimating how much damage Avalanche Toss does. And going to get taken down by Shadow Strike. Does buy up a magic stick just before he dies, so not wasting any gold. And dropping Yang pretty low. But I don't know, the Lifestealer is good at farming. Oh, James, ZSMJ finds you and he kills you. You know, Lifestealer is good at farming, he's good at running around, getting kills with that race car build. Maybe when they 5-man, and they will 5-man with Viper, Lifestealer, Queen of Pain, they've got AoE team fight with Kinetic Field, Static Storm. They've got single target focus with the Lifestealer. Going in on Icy now, dogfights. They get charged down as Karkar comes in for the Spirit Breaker. The attack speed, the sustain. Dogfight's going to go down as Triple S chased. But I don't know, there's nothing much left to give. Toss the Silencer or something like that. Maybe into his doom. Oh yeah, Lifestealer finds a haste rune, of course you do.
Speaking of the toss, that's is Wisp in trouble?
Air, Avalanche, toss. You can toss.
He's in trouble.
You can toss rage targets. Lifestealer dropping low. He had to rage away that haste as Air is still chasing him down. I don't think Lifestealer dies here. He turns back around. Okay, he gets another toss onto him. But Air now getting wailed on by dogfights in Secret. Sonic Wave going to drop him low. Secret taking tower head after tower head. Vengeful Spirit dragging the aggro back. HGT just throwing bodies here.
Yeah, bizarre. And at the tail end of that fight, I don't know if you saw, what I was watching is the Viper chasing the Spirit Breaker. It was really funny actually, because Silencer had used Last Word on Viper, and as Viper gets Spirit Breaker to one hit, the Last Word triggers and he can't attack. And the Spirit Breaker standing right in front of the Viper just starts TPing base. He's like, I'm on one hit kill, but you're disarmed. Goodbye.
You can't do anything. See you later. Tiny did go down in the end to that Shadow Strike. James charged on. Okay, ZSMJ. Whoa, they're actually relocating in. Not sure they needed this extra assistance, but Karkar, you know, he's always happy for the extra gold, extra experience. Get a little bit more from the assist.
The game started well for VG Gang potential, certainly like different to last game where we said they were out of their depth from the start. But the concern I have is that part of why the game started well for them is the hero composition. And if we go based on hero compositions, the mid game is going to be very difficult for them. Where they had an advantage in the lane stage based on the hero composition because the safe lane Storm is not very strong, because the Viper can handle the Wisp tiny lane, which is normally difficult to handle. Now we're getting to past the lane stage, and we have that global presence of Wisp with relocates and Tiny, and Silence is very close to his level 6 as well. And that's the part of the game that we expected to get difficult for VG Gaming Potential, and I don't know what their plan is for that part of the game to not be difficult for them. They don't have the mech yet.
But this is also the part of the game where HGT need to farm stacks. You know, they go through and clear their jungle, get the Aghanims up on air, and he's a long way away. With the 2 deaths he's had, his farm has been, you know, a little bit slowed down by VG.P's aggression. Sure, they don't have the mech on the Viper. He's far behind as well. Does the defensive play now from HGT, where it's farming time for them, laning phase is over, it's time to go into the jungle and, you know, try and build up your big items? Do VG.P go 5-man roam without the mech, like regardless of what they do or don't have?
I think that HGT are going to take a fight bot lane. I think we'll see a relocate soon with the global silence.
Yeah, looks like you're right. Relocate global silence, good prediction as the charge comes in, Secret gets taken out. James, the second to fall. No, dogfights. You're going to get caught here. The Lifestealer is running forward aggressively at people, I guess, because the relocate's going to go back, just waiting for the Tiny Wisp to retreat.
Yeah, and there we go. That's the statement of intent. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, VG.P basically know every time global silence and relocates are ready, we can't push a tower. We push a tower, that's what's gonna happen. I mean, even if they were all there from the start, sure there were 3 initially, none of the heroes are gonna achieve much during the global silence. It's just gonna be extra kills for HGT. So they can try and get a lot done between the global silences and relocates, but when they're ready, I just think it's gonna be very difficult for VG.P to get anything done.
Well, VG.P have about a 2,000 net worth lead, but after that fight, it's going to drop to about half. Or something along those lines, while the experience, yeah, the lead has just been demolished. There is no lead anymore. Back down to 0. Both teams even in terms of experience. Yang, he still doesn't have anywhere near that mech. Nowhere near that mech. He bought himself up treads, along with that Ring of Aquila. Mech, a distant thought. As they're going for this tier 1 tower, give them a nice bonus of gold.
Yeah, and I think they're doing very well actually to push the advantage as far as possible while there's no global and relocate. The question I actually want to ask is the relocate enough? Like, do VG.P have to be scared of just relocates, or is it only when the global's up? Because we do have a Spirit Break and a Storm that could jump on you quite easily, so the relocate alone might be enough.
Oh man, James. I was just gonna say that once James hits level 6 on this disruptor, I think they can start thinking about fighting against the relocate. If there's no global silence and relocate happens, then you turn around, Static Storm, glimpse someone back, then you try and fight through it. But if the double ulti combination comes down and lands on your head, I'm not too sure how to answer you. Queen of Pain and Vengeful Spirit and Disruptor, all very spell reliant. Maybe Lifestealer and Viper can battle through it. But then again, once Tiny gets Aghanims, once Storm and Spirit Breaker are zipping around charging people and running into your faces, I don't know. The jungle is already being overtaken by Icy. It's only going to get worse. The Raid are going to farm their jungle, their Ancients, your jungle. Tier 1 towers are still standing, but not for long.
I just feel like VG.P didn't get a big enough advantage early on. I mean, we spoke about during the draft that it would be really hard for them to win the game later on against HGT's lineup. As soon as their lineup comes online, even if they're behind, it's just the concept of their lineup is so much stronger. And VG.P, yeah, they got some early lead, but as we said, the Viper's mech was actually probably the key item in the early lead to let them push tier 2s and not just tier 1s. But it's at this point where finally they're getting the 3rd tier 1. But we're gonna be seeing the second global silence soon, and yeah, maybe they'll wait for the relocate. But the previous like every second relocate will have a global, and the one in between won't. And the last relocate without a global got a lot done. So the next one, which does have a global, maybe it's time for HGT to themselves try and get some objectives. They haven't killed any towers yet.
Oh, where's the first place they look? Do they go towards mid? Because there are no towers really that are running low on HP. Top tier 1 is going to give them a nice route into the Dire jungle. There is already a nice path through from the Radiant side. But once you take that tier 1, it means that there's going to be no TP reactions to save someone if they're farming too far away from the tier 2s. Mid tier 1, it's not that important right now for the Radiant to take that out. Maybe the bot tier 1 as well. Open up that Roche pit. Open up the enemy Ancients, which are actually being stacked up. Because taking control of these, basically they're ATMs. Taking control of jungle camps, of ancient camps, they are places where VG.P have been depositing gold, building up bank for their cores to jump in and farm and get that next big item. And if you just go and take the ATM away from them, then they've got nothing left to withdraw.
Yeah, another thing that works so nicely about HGT's lineup is, sure, I say they haven't managed to kill any towers yet, but once Tiny has Aghanims, if they win a fight, that like every fight you win is like 2 to 3 tower kills because of how fast the towers go down to the Tiny. So they're not going to mind too much that they haven't killed any towers. Obviously they'd like to kill towers, but their strategy is going to develop in a way that one fights will definitely transform into objectives. How do they not win a fight? I mean, they go for a fight with a global up, they just do win it. Oh, Lifestealer might be in trouble. Nope.
No Vortex. Tiny Whisper incoming. ZSMJ with level 1 Vortex, not feeling that it was going to be enough to take down a Lifestealer, but he is charged. Here we go. Okay, the global silence has popped, and down goes Triple S.
Yeah, I kind of I think they can make that kill without global. I'm not sure.
Well, I guess the counter initiation coming in was definitely a threat, but it's still happening. ZSMJ is now caught out. Yang, as well as Secret, trying to take down the Storm Spread. He goes in to bait the neutrals into attacking him, but not quite. The rest of his team just bailed on him.
Yeah, and Disruptor, one of those heroes that works extremely well against Storm Spirits. We've discussed this before. Glimpsing him back, Storm didn't have a whole lot of mana to escape with, and if the Disruptor is ulti, you can even just glimpse him into ulti, and Storm's not able to dodge glimpse with his ulti, so it's just like a guaranteed catch. Pretty Hawk farming up in the top lane while Tiny and Rizz farm the jungle next to him. Do you think he's gonna get a Midas? I think it's maybe a bit late for him to start going for the Midas and Silencer.
On Silencers in Chinese games, I very rarely see them go for Aghanims or Midas or anything like that, because usually they're in the 5 role. But with the Wisp getting Urn and Bottle, I don't know. Like we see a lot of Force Staffs, a lot of Urns and things like that. But we also usually see Tranquil Boots on Silencer. So the fact he's got Treads, maybe he does go into something like a straight Refresher even is a possibility. The Chinese definitely do prefer the Refresher over the Aghanims. Yeah. As the first item anyway.
We've seen that classic trade right now. Tier 1 top goes to Radiant and Roshan goes to Dire. Happens, yep. I mean, happens in almost every game. But I think part of that also, yeah, Global Silence being down, and VG.P so far in this game have been very good about making sure they get something done after each Global Silence.
Pretty hard. Guess the DD Rune and TP's out. There's no swap or stun. Glimpse just out of range. Level 2 Glimpse. Actually, James opting for the level 2 in Thunderstrike. He's only level 6, okay. But why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. It's a very unusual build. I wonder if I didn't see early on, he might have had 2-2 at level 4. And then it's the field that he took. And that makes sense then, because you need to have the field to combo with the Glimpse and ulti combo. So if he was in 2-2 at the start, then I can see how he got to this point. And it's possible that the way that they were dominating the lane early on, that he had 2 points in Lightning Strike for that exact purpose.
Well, ZSMJ well on his way to that Bloodstone. While VG.P have started the 5-man death ball push. Mech done up on Yang while he's building a Blade of Alacrity into Yasha, more likely than not. We see that casual Yasha just to increase your mid-game fighting potential. It's a lot more stat efficient than going straight into Ags, because if you go Mech Ags, it means you're a Viper with Mech and Ags. You don't really offer that much right-click wise, whereas with Yasha, it's a stopgap item. It gives you farming speed, attack speed, movement speed, every kind of speed you want under the sun. As they're actually pushing up to tier 3 here, which is a little bit scary.
Yeah, and HGT, Tiny is so close to that axe. They'd really rather wait a little bit before going.
Spirit Breaker smoked up and is looping around behind. Tier 3 is actually being hammered away at here by VG.P. HGT not reacting just yet, allowing VG.P to drop low. And now maybe going in for the relocate. Spirit Breaker, does he get vision? Does he see them? He's gonna find the lifestealer, but not the two guys TPing. So half of VG.P managed to get themselves out as Triple S gets stunned up when they go for the relocate onto the Vengeful Spirit. They find one kill, and they defend their high ground, which wasn't really under too much duress. But now a tier 1.
And they get the Tiny axe from that, and they haven't used Global, which I think is the most important part. Defending the high ground, making a kill, and not needing to use the Global, because that means they can still threaten to use the Global. And VG.P have to think twice about taking any kind of fight.
Maybe they go for a glimpse on Tiny now. Secret goes forward, Yules onto air. As the lifestealer finds Silencer and says goodnight. Kaka now, nothing to tether to, can't get up the high ground. What is happening? VG.P taking down the two supports for nothing there.
Yeah, HGT splits up in a weird way. I mean, the Wisp was too far from the Tiny. The Wisp was too far from anyone to tether away. And yeah, as you said, Silencer getting burst down. I'm starting to get a bit of some jerky lag here. Maybe this is what you had last game. It's not the uncompressed, it's just like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, VG.P now pretty happy going up onto the tier 3. Aegis Immortal still up on that lifesteal. It was about a minute until... still another couple of minutes until it gets claimed back. Is this just Rax 20 minutes in? This is a really odd swing of events. HGT have been like, doing decently. Yang jumped on. ZSMJ goes for the zip onto Yang. Gets the Vortex down. Now the Global Silence. They're just going to battle through this. The Lifestealer can't really manhandle the Tiny, or can he? 1 versus 1. 4 versus 1 now. Tiny is all alone. The Wisp is the only one left to save him. They bring down the Tiny Axe, and Pretty Hole is going to be the second to fall. Triple kill for Lifestealer out of nothing, basically. He's going to respawn with Aegis Immortal. Sent up into the air. The Spirit Breaker doesn't really have a chance to continue this fight. Okay. ZSMJ on the Storm Spirit cleaning up in the back. But we've had buybacks from HGT. What is going on?
Lifestealer's Armlet is doing work. I mean, he's a super farm Lifestealer, good at fighting, and turns out he did do really well against Tiny there. Did he get 4 kills?
No, it turns back on his SMJ. Just enough mana to zip back up onto the cliff. Icy has charged, so can escape from this one. Secret looking for the kill onto Kaka, and it should not be. Oh man, that TP tether. What a player. Wait, he still died. He still died.
So this is going to be a big wake-up call for HGT, because, I mean, they had global up, and that wasn't the most comfortable of things. Yeah, the Pretty Hole is actually going for a mech on Silencer. And I think that's just respecting the fact that, I was saying that VG.P didn't get enough of an early advantage. They got some, but not enough. Well, VG.P is saying, look, we still have this window. We could close out the game. If we get our play right in the next 10 minutes, we might be able to close out the game before you get enough farm.
Well, they're looking at taking down Rax now. Glyph is down. On cooldown for another couple of minutes. The Dar Observer going to spot out where ZSMJ is. They go for the open wounds on the Pretty Hole. Rage allowing him to go there with impunity instead of... Oh no! Silence stopped by the Static Storm and held into the kinetic field. Air now locked down by the Magic Missile. Rax, though, still standing as ZSMJ respawns in 2 seconds' time. The Bloodstone charges must have racked up pretty high for him.
And that Global Silence will be up as soon as Silencer respawns. So if this draws out a bit too long... I mean, what HGT have to do is kill that Lifestealer with the Global.
Well, they don't know where he is, but he's inside the Queen of Pain. Icy now with another strike cancelled out by the self-Yules from Secret. VG.P are just cleaning up here. Rax are going to fall. Tiny has to regen back in base. ZSMJ zipping forward, just trying to do as much damage as he can. Stunned. Is there silence? Is there anything else left? Nope. Glimpse back. And the relocate in is going to be completely useless. Global Silence wasted and expended for absolutely nothing. VG.P.
If that global happened before the glimpse, maybe something different happens, but glimpse plays completely counter that global silence. Total waste of a global silence.
Deathball meta back in vogue, guys. VG.P going for the 22-minute push. Well, it was an 18-minute first push into tier 3 and Rax, and then over the past 4 minutes or so, they've slowly but surely whittled it down in terms of HP and finally bring down both Rax at mid lane.
You know, this is why Lifestealer initially became popular when he was so popular for so long beforehand. It's just a hero that's difficult to deal with. Try and imagine VG.P's lineup with any other core that isn't Lifestealer, and it's difficult to see the fights going this way. I mean, imagine he's a Juggernaut. Sure, he gets an Omni Slash, maybe he makes a kill, but you can always deal with Juggernaut. You can always kill Juggernaut. Whereas Lifestealer's got like, not just the rage, the fact that he steals life, the fact that he infests. He's got an armlet. It's, you know, like people aren't used to playing against armlets. I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but when last, you know, other than Lifestealer, which hero is buying armlets?
That's the thing, like, my initial reaction to your question was, hey, what about Bristleback? And then I realized, hang on, no. Lifestealer is there self-sustaining. He doesn't need a dazzle or a mech or anything like that to keep him alive. Sure, they help, but Bristleback does quite heavily rely on getting buffed up with armor, having someone like a dazzle to just spam out Shadow Wave and keep him graved. Whereas Lifestealer's armor toggling, raging, infesting, his entire skill set and regular item builds do allow him to be that annoying, constant damage pressure in teamfights.
Yeah, so I was commenting earlier on IG picking the Juggernaut and Storm every game, and we were saying how part of that is that when you go against that lineup, you need to pick off one of those cores early on, but they're so hard to pick off early on. And Lifestealer fills a similar role, I feel like. You don't win a fight against Lifestealer unless you kill him, but how do you kill him? It's not very easy. And he now has a Manta style, by the way, this Lifestealer, so it's going to be one step harder to kill him because you can't global silence him.
Yeah, he's always going to pop that rage. Also, Manta Illusion is very damn good at breaking high ground, taking tier 3. I saw that Yasha and I thought, you know, regular build for Lifestealer, phase, armlet, drums, Sanjin Yasha, but no. Going into the Manta style charge, global. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh, another wasted global.
This is the time. VG.P say, let's go. Let's go, guys. Global's down. Secret blinks in along with the Lifestealer going straight onto air. The toss back in. James going to get taken out by ZSMJ. Static Storm not locking him down. Oh, okay. Yes, it does with a swap. Denial from the Storm Spread will send him back to base. Buys himself back. And VG.P just wander away back into the Radiant jungle. Healing up with Urns. Charge. Dogfight is the target of choice here. Air is trying to chase him down. Who does another strike go down onto? He looked like he wanted to change targets a couple of times. Glimpse sending someone back as Yang now zipped on ZSMJ. The buybacks here proving to be useful for HGT, but costly.
The Lifestealer still hasn't taken any damage really, but HGT managing to ignore the Lifestealer and not be too punished for it in that fight. And I think that's going to be quite rare. I think usually they won't be able to make so many kills without dealing with the Lifestealer.
Yules? Who's he going to go on? Shadow Strike first onto Icy, Sonic Wave. Okay, they're going to finish him off old school. Pretty... Silencer, you unfortunate son of a bitch.
What's in that Sonic Wave?
Yep. The thing is, though, that must have been like the very edge of the AoE because it's the cone shape. So, you know, he sort of threw it that way and Silencer's standing there on the very edge of it.
Yeah, and Silencer I think was about to have mech in a few seconds, so maybe turning back to try help, ending up dying for it, and Roshan's alive. I mean, VG.P just go for rush, what happens? They get a free rush, surely, or they're just gonna go for the push without even going for the rush.
Well, no one's scouting it out. I guess you're still worrying about the relocating. If Tiny does catch you as, you know, 4 or 5...
Ooh, this might be a dead Storm if he gets glimpsed on. Managing to roll all the way away, so recognizing that if the glimpse gets landed, he's dead.
Nahas with the gems once again. Armlet is the least bought major item in 6.83 Pro matches. It has been only built 58 times in over 1,500 matches on record.
And I wonder how many of those pickups are not on Lifestealer.
Not too sure. Storm zips in. The global silen's going to pop. Relocate now, but who do they find? James has Static Storm. Great placement there onto Tiny. He's going to keep them locked in. Sonic Wave flies across 3. Air still not dropping, still not dying. They're focusing on everyone else, though. Pretty hard, and Icy probably going to be the ones to fall here in the back end of the fight, as Tiny does manage to go down in the end to the Viper and the Vengeful Spirit. But this is looking like HGT are down and out in game number 2. VG.P take game number 2 with a GG call coming out from Karkov. So in the end, 1 win apiece. 1-1 is the score on the doors in the D2CL Chinese group stages.
And I want to say a lot of this victory for VG.P has to do with that Lifestealer pick, which, frankly, like, from the start of this game, from the start of the last 2 weeks, I don't really understand why people would pick it, but I think I'm getting there. I think I'm getting to that point where I can totally see the value in this pick and how it actually helps the death ball
Yeah.
tremendously.
It's no, it's no troll, it's no sniper, it's no juggernaut. It's not a top first pick material yet, anyway. It does fit into certain drafts, though. And we've definitely seen, like, when you and I have been casting Southeast Asian Dota, the death ball is coming back, even with the changes to towers and comeback mechanics and things like that, taking early map dominance and pushing into tier 3s by 20 minutes. It means you're cutting off the jungle. It means that all of the popular heroes right now, which require, a good laning phase, but then, 10 minutes of farming jungle while farming lanes at the same time and transitioning between the two? It means that their lifeline is completely cut off.
And it really punishes the teams that assume that losing the lane stage doesn't mean they lose the game, which is most teams have that mentality right now. It doesn't matter if we lose the lane stage, the game lasts a while, but if you're doing that death ball meta, then the lane stage is what you need to win, and then you snowball into Raxes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. That's it for the D2CL today. Later on, we do have some D2CL European action, I believe, and also Gigabyte Challenge, which Cap will be casting later on this channel. So make sure to check that out in 5.5 hours' time, so that's 6 p.m. CET. I've been Durka here in the JD Studios. You can check me out on Twitter and Facebook at Durka Dota. Joining me, Scant, on Twitter at Scansor. Thanks once again. It's been a pleasure. Any closing words?
Closing words are screw the haters on Twitch. South Africa is still a better cricket team than England.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to just leave it there with that bombshell because I can't come back from that. We'll see you guys next time. Tomorrow we do have some more D2CL Chinese action, so I'll be here. Not sure who will be joining. Maybe Scan, maybe Slash, maybe someone else. We'll find out. But hope you guys have a good day. Go and watch some more Dota.